Hey everyone, it is Alex and Matt here at Powder7 World Headquarters in Golden. We are coming at you today with a little sampling of some of the best skis in the all mountain category. We're pulling this from our 24-25 buyer's guide. You can read the full written one below. There's loads more skis in there. This is just a small sampling of some of the top picks, both from us personally, from our staff when at ski test in the spring, and some picks that we think all of you will really enjoy, kind of the everyman and woman ski, if you will.
Yeah, and just a quick note on the title of this video up top, that's for the algorithm. We call it Best All Mountain Skis so you all can find it. But what we're really doing here is just picking out some skis that we've broken down in our buyer's guide that we want to pull out and talk about that are awesome. But the best ski is going to be the one that fits your ski style, right? So we're going to give you some info to that end. And it's really exciting here in the all mountain category because it feels like every brand gave us a brand new ski or at least like a full revamp of a previous model that was a familiar favorite. Mm-hmm. So lots to choose from, lots to test out, which we love. And I guess we'll dig into it. Do you want to tell us what you are grabbing this year, Alex, for your top pick?
For my personal quiver.
Your quiver.
This was really hard because there's a lot of great skis in this category and a lot of the ones up here I really like, but I wanted to pick one that kind of surprised me from ski test, and that's the Line Pandora 99. This is an overhauled collection from Line, which is sick. The Pandora is kind of an infamous name. It was a super popular women's ski. That was a great recommendation for people who just wanted something like intuitive and fun. And Line decided not just the girls need that, everyone needs that. And so the Pandora, as well as all of their skis this year, are offered in a full unisex size run. So you got big skis for taller, reckless riders, and then shorter skis for our lighter, more cautious riders, or if you just like a smaller ski. So the Pandora 99 is their kind of like all mountain one. It's got a really cool shape. They've kind of beefed up the tail rocker back here compared to the old Pandora, and still have this really intuitive tip shape and rocker profile up here, but they've given it a really directional flex pattern. It's really interesting. It's pretty stiff underfoot and through the tail with a softer tip. So that really helps you. The ski feels really supportive underfoot when you tilt it up on edge. And so it feels actually really supportive for kind of high edge angles on when you're ripping carves, and feels really supportive in the tail when you're kind of finishing that turn, and also in bumps, and for landings as well. Just having a nice stiff tail helps balance things out and gives you support throughout the whole ski, while the softer tip helps keep things really intuitive and kind of more forgiving if you run into a bump or something like that. So I think it's a really cool flex pattern and opens up a ton of versatility for more aggressive riders who want something versatile, or somebody who's kind of graduating, buying their first pair of skis. This is a really intuitive thing that'll help you explore more terrain. So
yeah, it's awesome to have it in a full size run for all types of skiers.
Yeah.
What would you say is a trade-off in the Pandora?
Yeah, I think it's obviously still a pretty loose shape with a lot of tail rocker back there. So if you're still spending a lot of time on trail or really want to work on your carves, I think something with maybe a little bit of a flatter tail might be nice. And I think the flex pattern just does get some getting used to. A lot of the staffers were like, I feel like I need to take another lap on that. And then you came around and was like, this ski is sick. But just since it is so torsionally rigid underfoot with such a playful shape, it's kind of like you're figuring things out really quick.
For sure.
What about you, Matt? What are you putting in your quiver this year?
Yeah, I'm going to grab this one right in the middle. This is a ski from Kastle. This is the Paragon 101, and it's a new series that they've replaced the FX with. So the Paragon comes in a 101, a 93, and a 107. And we mentioned that there's been a lot of new updates in skis this year. A lot of those updates, Alex and I hear them pitched to us from brands as this ski is going to be more accessible to a wide variety of skiers. And that's awesome. We love when people can get on. A lot of people can get on these skis, right? Paragon kind of goes in a little bit different direction. This Kastle's doubling down on an aggressive all mountain free ride ski. So the Paragon is built on the ZX chassis. So it's the same shape as the ZX, which is their no metal free ride ski they debuted a few years ago. But it's built with 2 sheets of metal. So it's pretty tankish. It's pretty stiff. You do have some tip taper up here, hollow tech to dampen some vibrations. It's a Kastle staple. In the tails, they're pretty stiff. Not a whole lot of rocker or splay or taper. So fairly directional shape that really engages at high edge angles and high speeds. It's really fun to carve fast. You can make long turn shapes, short carves if you really engage with it. It's a ski that wants to be skied forward by strong skiers, and that's how you get the most payoff out of it. So I had a blast on it. Like Crested Butte on some dust on crust conditions and steep terrain is really reliable for chutes and kind of crappy snow. But because of those kind of lightweight tips with taper, it's smooth and smeary when you get it in soft snow too. So it's not just a 2x, it's an aggressive ski, but it's not just a 2x4. There's a lot of versatility and character here. So I'm a big fan of that. If you attack the fall line with an aggressive style, like to sometimes release your tails, it's a great ski for you at Paragon 101.
Would you put an intermediate skier on this ski map?
Probably not. I think I would if, I mean, choose your own adventure. Yeah. I think if it's an intermediate skier who's really stoked, progressing quickly, and it's a pretty athletic person, and they're an intermediate with they're picking up the technique of skiing pretty quick, they're forward in their boots, I would do that. It's a, if you grow into this ski, you're going to be a really strong skier. So you might not have the most fun in your first few days on it, maybe a few months as an intermediate, but it's going to make you a better skier for sure. There are a lot of skis out here, we're going to talk about them in this video, that are going to be more fun for an intermediate skier right away. This is a high ceiling and also a little higher floor.
Yeah.
That kind of brings me to a little bit of a drawback with the Paragon is it's just not as friendly for as many skiers. So if it's the end of the day and it's cut up mashed potatoes or bumps, your thighs are burning, it's not really going to be your friend when that happens. It might drive you a little bit. So that's your trade-off, but you get a top end, high speed, powerful ski.
Yeah. And some people, myself included, like to wrestle with their skis. It's kind of fun.
Makes you stronger.
Yeah, in theory.
So how's about one that's a staff pick, Alex?
Yeah, the staff picked the Nordica Santa Ana 97 companion ski to the Nordica Enforcer 99. Definitely a bit of a different construction compared to the Enforcer, which also got high reviews, but I just wanted to include this because the Santa Ana 97 had exceptionally high scores and wanted to give a nice little call out to our gal pals out there with a women's specific construction. Santa Ana and Enforcer get redesigns this year, which is kind of a big deal. Essentially, the biggest difference is just kind of tweaking, not a whole renovation, right? Just kind of making some improvements here and there. So they've tweaked the tail rocker back here, a little bit higher splay, a little bit deeper rocker than old ones, and a tweaked tip shape to kind of help it feel a little less hooky, just a little bit more intuitive at less steep edge angles. You've got a pulse core in here, which is essentially just like a rubber layer. And then in the women's model, the Santa Ana, you have the terrain-specific metal compared to the Enforcer's 2 sheets of metal, 2 full sheets. And I really like this metal shape in the Santa Ana because it's kind of unique. You've got full width metal up here. It kind of tapers through the mid part, widens again underfoot for stability when you've got that on edge, tapers a little bit, and then widens again. So that keeps your tips and tails a little bit stiffer. That helps keep the ski a little less torsionally rigid, which helps it feel a little less planky when you're off trail. So this is kind of a deceptively good ski to take off trail because it's not going to beat you up. It's not going to feel super planky and rigid like a 2x4, like Matt was saying, which I think is a great feature for lighter riders. The Santa Ana is just a really smooth riding ski thanks to that pulse core. And to me, compared to some other skis, I think it's got the best suspension to demand ratio compared to some other skis loaded up with metal and dampening agents. This one's a little bit easier to get on top of and get that forward stance and stay on top of the shovels for how smooth riding it is. So it's really confidence inspiring for that reason.
Yeah, I really like the 99 Enforcer. More confidence inspiring, but still able to do all the same things, I think, as the Enforcer 100. So I was a fan.
Just a little looser.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say about this ski compared to some other models is it's not as lively. That planted, damp, smooth ride that you get is a trade-off with just not as bubbly. You're not like popping and rebounding in and out of your turns. It'll certainly do that, but not to the same extent as like maybe a Blizzard Black Pearl or a Shiva or something like that in the women's category. So, but for ladies who like to feel glued to the snow, this is a great choice. I actually have a little quote. This Quinn said it better than I ever could. So stable, with lots of O's. Such a nice ride through choppy snow. The ski will go as fast as you like and feel solid without yanking you down the hill. Even more playful and a nice blend from past years. Ripper in any snow, maneuverable, not for the faint of heart, but gives lady rippers a break from past years, just being a little less aggressive. Excellent daily driver, mid-season, or part of a quiver as the all-mountain ski.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a great test card right there.
Yeah, look at how much she wrote.
Tattered edges from being inside a ski jacket in the wild. Love to see it.
Live. What about you? What's your popular pick this year among staff?
Yeah, it's actually a very familiar model.
Familiar
face with a bit of a revamp. This is, drumroll, the Atomic Bent 100. One of the best-selling skis for Powder7 over the last couple of years. And of course, the Bent Shetler collection with artwork inspired by Chris Bent Shetler is a staple for more than a decade at this point in the freeride category. So the 100 comes in in that really versatile all-mountain waist width. And so people have loved the Bent 100 for being surprisingly strong on groomers and carving and bumps, and then also still playful. Some people use it as a park ski. So really versatile in that way. The new version, you still see a really high camber.
I can't take it seriously. It's like so high.
It's such high camber. So it's very reboundy and springy, super poppy. You've still got, twin tips, tail splay. In the tips, Atomic added, they blunted the tips and added some bevel, which they also did to the Bent Shetler 120. So gonna make it a little bit more smeary, a little bit more floaty, just kind of refine that powder performance. I regrettably haven't skied this snow in a lot of fresh snow. I always thought the old one held up pretty well in soft snow. I don't think these updates are going to do anything to make it worse. They're going to make it better, smoother, and surfier. Biggest difference in the new one besides that is a little bit more tail rocker. So if you skied the old Bent 100 and you thought it was a little more locked in your tails than you expected it to be or than you wanted it to be, it's easier to release. My first lap on this, I almost went over the handlebars because I was driving it pretty hard, went to slash, and it just was like, whoosh, the tails shot out. So some people won't like that. Our staff loved that.
Mm-hmm.
Adding a little bit more flavor and slashiness to a ski that has good all-mountain chops is one quick way to win over the Powder7 hearts here at the shop. And I think that played out at our ski test. People really enjoyed the new Bent 100. So that's the note on the difference if you're looking at the new one versus the old one.
I think it's a huge improvement with the tail. It's just feels like a more cohesive ski, right? Like it's, and that tail bevel that's on the tip as well as in the tail. And I just think it helps make it more drifty and more playful and a little bit more slashy.
I think it matches what you expect the collection to do a little bit better.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I think our staff love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got this awesome graphic on the top sheet, and then it skis with as much flavor, freeride performance as you would expect from that graphic.
Mm-hmm.
I think on the downside, again, if you do wish your tails were locked in for carving a little bit more, that's where you're going to want to go to the Maverick series from Atomic. So Maverick 95 or 105, which we'll get to in our Big Mountain video. And then also just in the all-mountain category, it's definitely on the lighter weight side. So ripping groomers, hard snow, refrozen crab, firm bumps. It's not going to feel as planted as certainly some skis up here and some others in this category. It's going to feel loose, might get bounced around a bit. That's the trade-off for having a playful all-mountain ski.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But light in the air, so I think freestyle skiers will get along with that well.
And to quote one Tyler from our ski test, Tyler said, super playful, easy in the air, and nimble. In my opinion, Tyler's opinion, it's a huge improvement over the old 100. I agree. Tons and tons and tons of fun with a very high stoke score. So that's emblematic of what our staff thought of the new Bent 100.
Huge.
All right, Alex, what you got for your everybody ski?
Yeah, I picked a well-known name in the all-mountain ski family. This is the Volkl M7 Mantra. I was just looking into it. The Mantra has been in Volkl's lineup since 2005. So we're approaching 20 years of Mantra.
I don't know what I was doing in 2005.
I wasn't skiing Mantras.
Definitely not.
For sure. And this is the 7th generation M7. And so the ski has seen definitely a lot of iterations over the years, but I think Matt would agree with me that this is the best, or at least fan favorite for sure. A few key updates here. It still definitely has that pretty iconic, well-known Mantra shape of pretty minimal rocker, and the rocker that is there is really low slung, so very close to the snow. So you got a lot of contact with the snow when you're on edge. But definitely some all-mountain tip rocker up there, just low slung as well. Definitely less tip rocker or tail rocker than some of the other skis we've shown up here. Pretty flat camber as well. That was sharp. But to get into some of the changes for this year, Volkl updated the tailored Titanal frame. So they removed metal from some parts of the skis and moved them into other places. So concentrating metal where you need it to give you more power, and removing metal that in places you don't need it, that was just adding weight to the ski. That may sound like it makes it more accessible, but I think Matt and I would agree that it just really smooths the flex out a little bit. It feels really round and not so planky, not so rigid and 2x4-y.
It's a really lively and precise Mantra.
Yeah.
I like it.
The precision gets amped up with the 4D radius side cut. So instead of 3D radius side cut, you've got 4-wheel drive, and they've added some side cut into this part of the ski. So the idea with that is it really helps you play with your turn shapes. It helps you be more versatile when snow conditions aren't as ideal. So you've got short turn radius underfoot, moderate at the tip and tail, and then a long radius in this kind of midsection of the ski. So that adds a lot of that precision that we felt when we were testing it. Just feels like once you tilt it, it's on edge and you're rocking and rolling on that turn, which is really fun. But with that radius side cut, when you get it into bumps, you can actually kind of like find that you can more easily release the tails than you would expect for how little tail rocker is back there, which is one of my favorite parts of the ski. Just feels like it can weirdly kind of swivel, which I think is really cool. The ski is really damp, really precise, really supportive. So if you like to ski fast and take long, short turns, but like to find really high edge angles, this is a great option for you.
So you would put an intermediate skier on it? What do you think?
Similar to your Paragon situation, I think you need to be a stoked intermediate and someone on the more athletic side. I think this ski really comes alive and you get the most out of it when you've got some good pressure on your shovels and you're rocking the front of your boots. I think if you wind up in the back seat, you won't find that swiveliness. The ski kind of can get away from you a little bit. So it's not like a Pandora where if you ski with a centered stance, you can release those tails and kind of get swishy. If you have a forward stance and are kind of engaging the ski, that's where you'll be able to kind of bring the ski around. So stoked intermediate who's listening to their ski instructor and doing all the good things.
Always listening to your ski instructor.
Yeah.
Almost always.
But we put this in or at least I chose it for that every dude's category just because it's such a popular ski. And I think a lot of people are really stoked about this model.
I can say the same for my pick for the customer favorite ski. And it's a new one that you alluded to from Rossignol. This is the Sender Soul 102. So last year, Rossi introduced Sender Free 110, kind of pioneering their new free ride line under the Sender name. And this is the all mountain version, narrower, more versatile. So Sender Soul takes a lot of the characteristics from the Sender Free. You've got a metal plate under your foot. You've got camber in the Sender Soul 102. That camber is a little higher. The flex pattern is a little bit softer versus the 110, and the tails are a little bit more directional on this narrower ski. So all those things add up to a little bit more all mountain versatility. That's the marketing claim from Rossignol at least. And I think at our ski test, it played out that lots of different types of skiers got along really well with the Sender Soul 102. I loved it testing it at Crested Butte. Down some steep chutes, some variable snow, some dust on crust. Surprisingly, maybe for a ski with soul in the name from Rossignol, or just for a Sender freeride ski, this ski feels pretty planted, stable, and damp. So Rossignol calls it playful power. I think It's got a surprising amount of stability and dampness to it. Even more than I thought when I tested it out. So you've got really light tips, pretty low swing weight. Taper up here helps you smear and float through soft snow. I really appreciate that for when it's like heavier setup powder. It doesn't get hooky at all. In the tails, you got enough support to land airs, hop from mogul to mogul, hold on in the bumps if you get a little back seat. Versus the Paragon 101 back here. The Sender Soul 102 doesn't beat you up quite as much. So that's why it's a pick for me that's going to be really friendly to a wide variety of skiers.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a lot with the Sender Free 110, is that, and it's true for this ski too, it just accommodates a really wide range of ski styles, whether you're a directional kind of fall line person and are on the shovels, it'll support that and give you good edge hold. But if you ski with a more centered stance, you can release those tails pretty easily, to me at least.
Yeah, and I think getting into maybe a drawback on the Sender Soul 102, I actually think that a lot of people might think it's more playful than it is when they come to ski it. If you're looking for a really playful ski that you're going to take through the park, you're going to jib around the mountain, kind of a traditional freestyle all mountain ski, I would actually direct you elsewhere, maybe to like a Nomad 100 or an ARV ski from Armada. The Sender Soul is more tuned in for people who like to ski a lot of places, in a lot of snow types, and have a wide variety of styles and abilities. So if you're more of a playful, specific skier, maybe one of those skis. If you're more of an everything skier, hence this category, this might be a ski for you. Ski of the Year chops, been a lot of hype and big smiles around this ski from our ski test and our personal testing.
It kind of hit the nail on the head for all mountain of like, do anywhere, anytime you want with any kind of skiing you're feeling like doing that day.
Yeah. We make fun of the quiver of one idea around here because we have quivers of like 5 or 7 sometimes. Mm-hmm. But this is the kind of ski that could do it, especially for Western all mountain skiing.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you can't always have the right ski for all the conditions. So finding a sweet spot of a ski that's going to suit your ski style in this all mountain category is really going to get you a lot of places and get you as close to that one ski quiver, that elusive one ski quiver as you can.
Elusive.
But this is just a very small sample of all of the new skis that are new for this year and all of the great all mountain skis that didn't get updated this year. So if you want to read more about all of those, you can head down to our written buyer's guide. We've got staff quotes, trade-offs, superpowers for all these skis, and a little rundown of how they ski and what ski style they suit best. So definitely check that out. You can find all of those skis and all of these skis at powder7.com or here in Golden at Powder7 HQ.
Have a great ski season.